Do you love simulators? Simulators are some of the most fulfilling games in all of gaming. Now, there's a lot of people that will grind and grind for countless hours to unlock that next legendary armor or legendary weapon, or maybe it's not even legendary. Maybe they're grinding for countless hours to unlock a mediocre armor or weapon because they're at the beginning of a game that has a very long, arduous loot grind. Personally, I enjoy games that don't give me fetch quests and don't give me a grind for loot or achievements or any kind of dangled carrot, anything dangled out in front of me as a reward for performing in a game. I prefer games that are challenging, the games that challenge my ability to learn new things, my ability to learn how to do things. A lot of times, I'm mostly fascinated by things that are things that can be done in real life that I'll never be able to do. For example, racing in a GT3 race. A game like ACC gives you the ability to race in a GT3 car on some of the most renowned tracks around the world. And that's something I'll never get to do in real life, but I can do it in a simulation. And the simulation these days have become so good that it truly is enjoyable. I don't know if we are heading in a direction where people get more and more tired of regular games. I mean, the gaming industry is bigger and stronger than it's ever been in history, but there are a lot of people suffering from burnout from 150-hour RPGs and huge campaigns that have hundreds of fetch quests and 6,000 icons on the map for the game that they're playing that are just little go here, kill that guy, bring this thing back to there. Even with games being oversaturated with fast travel in modern times, it's a slog. It really has become a slog in a lot of these games, and a lot of people are tired of it. Well, simulators don't do any of that. Simulators, literally nothing is locked. There is no progression. You don't unlock better cars by playing the game. All the cars are available right at the beginning. All the aircraft are available right at the beginning. All the weapons, all the classes, all the character abilities, it's all there in a simulation right from day one. Not because they don't care about progression, but because the progression is the skills you develop while playing the simulator, while practicing, while watching YouTube videos to learn about the simulator you have chosen. It's an actual tangible skill to be able to compete or be able to be up to par in a simulation. And we're going to look at the three best, and this is of course my personal opinion, but the three best simulators on PC. And they're not just best as in their simulation is the most realistic, because that's something we could argue until the end of time, which sim is most realistic in flight or racing or combat or anything else. But these are the three sims that I feel are the most complete package, most immersive, best world settings, best gripping gameplay, graphics, the whole package. Three most gripping and realistic sims on the market right now for PC. So let's get into it. Number 3. Ready or Not. Now, Ready or Not is growing in popularity recently because version 1.0 recently released. One thing I'm going to do in this video, instead of showing a bunch of cinematic clips and action cuts and everything else, I'm going to show actual footage of the game being played for all three games on this list, to show you why, hopefully you'll be able to see through the gameplay shown, why these games are exceptional. And Ready or Not is a tactical squad-based shooter. It can be played single player or multiplayer. With the recent update of version 1, The single player is greatly improved. It has a campaign mode called Commander Mode. Now, in Ready or Not, the AI is extremely intelligent. Now, we just caught 2 guys with their pants down in this hallway. 3 guys, actually, with their pants down in this hallway. And that was just very, very lucky. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to get shot in the face as soon as we turn a corner. This game is as hard as any shooter I've ever played, and I've played them all. I've played all the tactical, hardcore shooters. I'm a big squad guy. I love Arma 3. You know, you could argue Arma 3 is historically the greatest tactical shooter of all time. You could argue that, you know, iRacing is the most realistic sim racer in the world and things like that. I'm not here to debate which racing sim is the best racing sim in the world, or which shooter is the best shooter in the world. I'm not saying Ready or Not is the best shooter in the world. What I'm saying is, it is, in my mind, the best hardcore simulation of a shooter on PC. It has the whole package. The production quality is extremely high. Level design is extremely detailed. Completely engrosses you into the game. The world feels lived in. The characters feel realistic to the scenarios that you find them in. There's a level of tension every time you open a door, because when you play this game, you get shot in the face when you open doors on a regular basis. And so what Ready or Not does is it has very little music. The music is mood inducing, and it only comes and goes at certain times, intense moments, and it's very toned down. It's not like loud blasting music or anything like that. You can hear we have a target that is shooting out of fear, so he's panicking and he is shooting blindly. Either that or he's shooting at a civilian, but I would think he would have killed the civilian by now. So what you do in a game like Ready or Not is you plan your attacks smoothly, and you see the bad guy actually opened the door before I was able to open it, and one of my squad mates shot him. This is single player footage. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to capture any footage with my guys. I do have some friends that I play this with from time to time, and it is much better with friends. The single player is great, but with friends, this game is arguably the most fun co-op shooter that there is. It's very intense, very stressful. It's very easy to die. Doesn't take but a couple shots and you're dead. If it's a headshot, it's one shot. The AI is extremely intelligent. They will flank you. They set traps. Certain maps have a lot of traps on them. If you're not careful when you open a door, you will be hit by an explosive or other types of traps. You see I'm using a camera under the door on this door, which technically would be a smart thing to do for every door, but it slows the motion down so much. It slows the gameplay down so much. And sometimes slowing down that much will actually get you killed. The enemies move around the map. They're not stagnant. They don't just stay in a room and wait behind the door for you to open it or flashbang them. They actually continue to move. So trying to use the camera to peek under every single door is not always a great game plan. And another thing about Ready or Not, every single map is completely different every single time. The amount of enemies is different, where the enemies are, where the traps are. All those things change every time you play a map. So you could play a map 100 times, it'll never be the same. You see these guys are about to move in this room here. We're here to take you away. Okay, so the flashbang caused this guy to drop his gun. First guy wasn't so smart and he got killed. The AI are extremely smart. They do get themselves killed from time. You see that guy actually wasn't dead, stood back up, and they put him down. So that's another thing that happens in Ready or Not. Sometimes you have to handcuff everybody, even the dead bad guys, and sometimes you'll handcuff a guy and he'll sit up on his knees because he wasn't actually dead. So anytime you shoot someone or incapacitate someone, if you don't secure them, they can get up, pick their gun back up, and come up behind you and shoot you in the back. And they will do that. It's happened to me dozens of times until I finally learned the discipline of take care of each target individually. So one of the things that makes Ready or Not so great is this level of tension. You never really know what is coming. You never really know what each map is going to bring. Sometimes the maps feel extreme, like this map, this particular turn. I came in, looked down a hallway, 2 guys are standing in the hallway, they both fired at me, so I took them both down. 3rd guy comes out a door, so that's 3 enemies down right at the beginning. But a lot of times you'll go through several rooms and you won't see a single enemy. It's completely unpredictable, and you'll get killed halfway through this mission, so then you have to restart. You come back, you go through it again, and everything's completely different. Where there were guys before, there's no one. Where there wasn't people, there are people. Or you get in a rush because you're retrying a match or retrying a mission, and you open a door and get yourself blown up because you didn't check to see if there was a trap. So it's just a constant like tension that's always there. The shooting is fantastic. The weapons feel as good as any shooter on the market. A lot of people are huge fans of Ground Branch, but one of the biggest problems with Ground Branch is the AI is completely worthless. They are mindless. They either no-scope you from halfway across the map and headshot you, one-shot kill you, or they can't hit the broadside of a barn, and they will run out in the open like idiots and just... You see right here, we got a shadow on the other side of the door. So we got an enemy right there. So I'm trying to decide, should I tell my guys to flashbang the door, but they might get shot if they fling the door open to flashbang it. He's gonna actually open the door. I shot him, which I'm not supposed to do. I'm supposed to warn him first, so that's bad play on my part. That will actually cost you points at the end of... You get a rating at the end of every mission, and that will hurt your rating shooting someone who's giving up or unarmed. Or if you shoot a civilian, that's a huge deterrent on your rating. So the other thing about Ready or Not that sets it apart from other games is it has an edginess that is kind of pushes it a little bit. Like there are missions where there is somebody who's involved in making child pornography. Now they don't actually show child pornography in the game, thank goodness. There's nothing that extreme, but they show hints toward it and little things to make you feel uncomfortable. There is a mission where it's a active shooter situation in a nightclub, and there are just bodies everywhere, and people's cell phones are ringing in their pockets. The dead bodies, their cell phones are ringing and stuff, and it's otherwise eerily quiet. It's just there's another one where there's a shooting at a college, like a community college, and there's an active shooter situation, and there's bombs placed around the college, and you hear, like, as you're clearing rooms and kicking down doors, you can hear people begging for their life and then being shot after begging for their life. I mean, it's a very serious game. Like, they don't really make light of the fact that you are a SWAT officer, you know, an operator in these tense situations. They really double down on the grittiness and the uncomfortable feelings and things that you have to deal with. You deal with political extremists, you deal with cultish type people. There's one mission where there's a group of ex-military guys who are killing people in protest to a law that is being banned or being passed or up to be passed. And see right here, I step up on these. See, I actually dome my enemy or my teammate right there as I'm back and forth with the enemy, which is a huge mistake by me, but he of course, stepped right in front of me. The the level of detail in Ready or Not is one of the best things about it. The maps are extremely detailed, and they have storytelling throughout the maps. Like, if you really look at everything and read the notes on the tables, and you know, listen to what your guys say as you go from room to room, they'll give you little tidbits about the environment or what kind of stuff is going on in the environment. And it really is just the best tactical shooter on the market right now, in my opinion. Of course, it's my opinion. A lot of people would disagree. They might like something else. But this, in my mind, is the best tactical shooter on the market. And it is one of the most hardcore simulators in gaming. And there's rumors that it's actually coming to console in 2024. So we'll see if that's actually accurate or not. Number 2, completely different type of game, but it is a simulator, and it is a very hardcore simulator, and that is Automobilista 2, or AMS2. Everybody who plays it calls it AMS2. People who don't know what AMS2 is, it is Automobilista 2. AMS2 is, you see me actually clipping through the first place guy there, which caused me to get a bad start, which caused me to be completely under attack right off the jump, and I'm getting pushed wide into turn 1. The amount of content on offer for AMS2, I could have made a 2-hour video breaking down AMS2 or longer. The amount of content, the different types of racing, there's so many different types of racing, everything from supercarts, like actual carts, like go-karts, supercarts, all the way to semi-truck racing. There is Formula 1, from old school all the way up to modern day Formula 1. There's IndyCar racing, there's Formula 2, Formula 3, there's all kinds of classic Formula cars. There's even the high-tech cars, which are the cars from the 90s that had like the active suspension and all of that stuff. These are stock cars, but they're not like NASCAR stock cars. They're a different kind of stock car. The creator of AMS2 is actually based in Brazil, and so a lot of their content, there's a ton of tracks from South America that you don't see in any other sims. Some of them are great tracks, and you don't really see those in any other sims. I think AMS2 has something like 65 tracks or something like that. I meant to get the exact number before I made this video and I forgot. But they have a huge number of tracks, and they are extremely detailed. They're meant for all different types of racing. They've got a few oval tracks. The oval racing is very good. They do have Indy cars in the game, so you can do Indy on oval, which is extremely fun, but also extremely difficult. This game just, the reason I think it is the best sim racer on the market is it has the whole package. It has the graphics, which a lot of simulators do not. A lot of sims these days are old and outdated, like RF2 or iRacing. Still pretty popular in their own right, but the graphics are outdated. The UI, the menus, the way you get in and out of races and everything is extremely outdated on those sims, and it's not a very enjoyable experience compared to something newer like AMS2. Plus, something like iRacing, you have to pay a monthly subscription, and you have to pay for every single track, you have to pay for every single car, everything's locked behind a paywall, which is great if you can just race one car and one track forever, but you can't, because the way their system works, the seasons and weeks move on and the track changes every week. So if you want to continue to race, you have to continue to purchase more and more content. And then in certain classes like the NASCAR class or the F1 class or things like that, the cars change every year. Every time a new NASCAR season kicks off, you got to go buy the new updated NASCAR. You have to go buy the new F1 car because now last year's car is out of date. So you're constantly putting money into those sims, which is fine if you have the income, the expendable income to put into something like that. It's great. But then something like AMS2 is every bit as good as that as far as the driving feel, I personally think it feels better, but some people would disagree. The driving feel is insane. The physics quality is insane. The rain and weather in AMS2 is second to none. Puddles form in low parts of the track whenever as the rain continues, puddles will form in low spots, and it'll actually wipe you out if you hit the puddle, so you have to change your racing line after it's been raining for a little while. Like I said, I've shown 3 different classes. I've shown the stock cars. We were driving a Mini Cooper a moment ago, and now we're driving a high-tech Formula car at the iconic Daytona Raceway. And you can mix and match. If you can do anything in this sim, and it's extremely detailed. If you wanted to, you could make a multi-class race with these high-tech Formula 1 cars and semi-trucks. You can put semi-trucks on the track at the same time. So you can have the Formula 1 cars flying past the semi-trucks on every straightaway, all race long, just to have a good laugh, But I'm a little more into the realism side of things, so I don't do crazy stuff like that. But if you just want to have fun and, have multiple class races with weird mixtures of classes and stuff, you can totally do that. You can have really, really good Le Mans, like they just released the Le Mans track for this, and the new prototype cars, so you can have really good multi-class races where you have like GTE or GT3 cars racing alongside the Le Mans cars. You can do it 24 hours. The weather settings in AMS2 have limitless possibilities. You can set up to 4 different weather settings for each event, and you can put them on random, and it'll do all kinds of crazy transitions. If you set it to random, you never know what you're going to get. Or you can have it go from clear to cloudy, or clear to light clouds to medium clouds to rain. Or you can have it go from clear to rain to clear again, and the track will actually change and transition. Track temperatures change when it gets wet. Then once the rain dries up, like if you're doing like a 40-lap race, as the rain dries up, the track temperature will go back up. As the rain dries, the driving line will actually dry first. So if you're still on wet tires because you're not sure if it's going to start raining again, because it might, you can stay in the wet parts of the track to keep your tires from overheating, and then come back to the dry line once you get in slicks. There's so much detail here. I wish I had more time to break down everything about AMS2. It's the best. I don't do VR, but if you race in VR is the best in AMS2. It's not even close. Every sim racer I know who races in VR says AMS2 is by far the best experience in VR. It gives you the best performance, best visuals, and this is a really well optimized game. It looks fantastic, but I'm able to get 120 frames at full 4K ultra all the time. It doesn't really ever go below 120, and you can't say that for a lot of other games that are this visually attractive. It is the kind of sim that you can get lost in, because it has so many different types of racing, so many different venues, so many different systems you can change to alter each race. It is a fantastic sim, and I think it's the best sim racer on the market. I think if you haven't given it a try, now is definitely the time to give it a try. And then the number one most bestest, awesomest, however, I don't know, I'm being stupid, but the best hardcore simulator on PC is DCS. And DCS is, it's not for everyone. Hell, it's not for most people. It is by far the most hardcore sim I've ever experienced, and I've been playing Sims since the 90s, and it has some of the best visuals, so it's right up there with anything. Even though it's been around forever, they have updated the visuals for years and years and years in DCS. I don't think most people understand why DCS is so enthralling. Like, most people I know that fly in DCS, it kind of takes over their whole life for a while. Some people it takes over their whole life forever. Like, I know guys that I've known for a few years now, and they play it every day. Like, they can't get enough time in the air in DCS. And personally, I play all kinds of games, so I don't play it every day. I'm not a DCS prisoner completely, I guess. But I am extremely addicted to it. I play it all the time, and every time I see one of their amazing cinematics that are constantly being put out either by players or by Eagle Dynamics themselves or by one of the companies making the new aircraft for DCS, I get pulled back in. I've played this game for hundreds of hours. I own a bunch of modules, but I don't own anywhere near all the modules. So you see right now, I'm in the Black Shark 3. It's a Russian strike helicopter. We just took out a Humvee. This is a simple mission where there is a compound that was overrun by enemies, and they had 3 pieces of armor on site. Our intel flyover was able to pinpoint 3 pieces of armor, the Humvee being one of them. And then, of course, foot soldiers, and we have foot soldiers on site ready to move on the compound and take it back, but we have to take out the armor first. So that is our mission in this helicopter, is to take out the 3 armored vehicles so that our guys can move in and clear the compound. You can see that is the compound up on the hill way up ahead. In just a second here, I'll give you a look at how far away. Okay, that's the compound. You can see it straight ahead there. So it's a few miles away, a few kilometers away. So we're trying to take out the armor without getting too close. The Black Shark is an extremely lethal strike helicopter. It is only second to the Apache as far as lethality. I don't know if lethality is a word, but as far as how threatening it is. But the Apache, you have a gunner, you have a CPG, co-pilot gunner, and the co-pilot is a little cumbersome to deal with sometimes. I've used him a lot. His name is George. I have used George a ton, and so I'm pretty proficient with him. But the Black Shark gives you the ability to fly and attack at the same time. It's a little easier to use and a little bit better for showing off what it's like to fly a strike helicopter in DCS. Now, one thing I would like to say is DCS is the most hardcore sim I've ever experienced. It's not close. Arma 3 is the only thing that comes to mind that's similar. Huge learning curve, really difficult to get into and get comfortable with. Takes dozens and dozens of hours to even be able to work, to be able to play the game with any kind of confidence in both DCS or Arma 3. But I fly DCS on an Xbox controller. I have a good friend named Tuvas. He has a YouTube channel all about playing DCS, which is the most hardcore sim in the world, with nothing but an Xbox controller and your keyboard. And that is what I do. This is all the footage you're seeing and that you're about to see is all being done with an Xbox controller connected to my PC. I don't have a flight stick and an expensive setup right now, so I make do with an Xbox controller, and I have become pretty decent with an Xbox controller. I know guys who are way better than me. I actually know guys who are comp pilots who fly in actual DCS competitions with an Xbox controller. And so now we're here in an F-16. Now, this is a hot start. I don't cold start jets. I do cold start certain aircraft, but not fighter jets, because it's like a 40-minute process to cold start one. And you have to know hundreds of buttons and switches to flip and steps to take, and I haven't gotten that far into the weeds in DCS I don't know if I ever will have time to get that deep into the weeds learning how to cold start an F-16. So it's a hot start, but you see I still got to set up my RWR, set up my flare system, set up my radar, switch to air-to-air mode. There's still a ton of things that you have to do just to be able to operate an aircraft in DCS. Even with a hot start, you don't just immediately take off, and it's not, you know, a lot of people play like Ace Combat or something like that. This is not Ace Combat. This is on a whole, it's not even in the same genre. There's no comparison, really. So what we're looking at is, I am actually in Caucasus, which is one of the older maps in DCS. It's probably my least favorite map because it is the least graphically pleasing. It's an older map. It's been around for years and years. It's still very good for like layout and everything, but like I said, just not as visually pleasing as some of the newer maps in the game. The reason I'm on this map is because this is actually a multiplayer server that is run by some friends of mine. This is the Coliseum server. It is a PvP and PvE server. It has AI combatants, both ground targets and air-to-air targets, so if nobody's on, you can fly this server by yourself and have a really good time taking on AI set to the absolute hardest setting. There is no server I have ever flown on where the AI is as aggressive and punishing as it is on this server. These guys have it cranked all the way up to 11, and it is extremely hard to get kills on this server for someone like me. I'm not an ace pilot, certainly not an ace pilot, don't claim to be, but I'm good enough to get some kills here and there. So you see we skip past the flight. It's a long flight to the enemy territory, so we're about to engage an F-16. We actually have him locked up on radar already. He is almost within range, so we're closing in on firing range. We're using AIM-120s in our F-16, so this is an even fight, 2 F-16s, except he has the advantages. He is behind the air net of his SAM site, so we're trying to get him to come out and play. So we're going to fire a shot at him right now. That's a 120 away, and we're going to turn and we're going to break off. We're going to keep him in our radar. We're going to keep hot, keep him in the edge of our radar scan, and we're going to dive to gain speed because we want that second shot to really, really be a lethal shot. So we're diving to gain speed. You can see we're moving really, really fast right now. Now, I'm not a typical pilot. I don't claim to be a great pilot. The guys that I fly with are all comp pilots, and they are extremely lethal, and I'm certainly not. So you see that's 2 missiles away now on the F-16, and now we're going to break cold. We're going to turn away from him. We're going to hope that that second missile tracks. It will go hot if it catches him within a certain range on its own, but we did not stay hot on him long enough for that second missile to track. So it's just a matter of, does the missile track on its own? It's not terribly likely, but it can happen. So basically we had to turn cold because we were crossing into SAM site territory. That's why we're down low. We're trying to dodge missiles that were fired, any incoming fire. And now we have put ourselves in a terrible position because we are running away. You see me checking the throttle there. The F-16 has a click. When it's past the click, it's in afterburner. When it's just before the click, it's out of afterburner. So we're currently out of afterburner, trying not to burn too much fuel. You can't just stay in burner all day. What we're going to do is we have 2 choices. We can either run back home, or we can he's right behind us. So he's in an F-16 as well, and he has the advantage. We flew all the way here. He did not. He just took off not long ago. So he has a fuel advantage on us. He has a positioning advantage on us. He is behind us, right on our 6. If you look on the right screen, you can see him. He is a yellow square. So what we're going to do is we're going to commit suicide and hope we can take him down with us. So we're going to turn hot on him. He is really close. He's right behind us. So as soon as he gets in range, we're going to lock him up on radar. We're going to try to anyway. Try to lock him up. And we're going to fire a desperation shot. You see he's already fired, so we are dead. So we are firing, and our missile took out his missile. So his missile is dead. That means that missile he fired that would have killed us no longer is coming. We fired a second missile and we're turning cold. And there he goes. We got him. So that is an extremely lucky break. That was a suicide mission. Our missile probably wouldn't have hit, but because his missile tracked our missile, it saved our lives. And you know, that's the kind of stuff, everything that's being simulated in DCS is so complex. The fact that his missile would track the hot signature of my missile that I had just fired and blow up, that's the kind of, so you see I'm checking here, we got two 120s left. We should RTB, we should return to base, we should go back, count our blessings. We just dodged an incoming missile by shooting it out of the sky. But we're going to get greedy. We're going to be greedy here. There is a MiG-31 in the air behind us. And we are going to go engage him as well. So I'm trying to get a little bit of altitude here. So I know my tactics in air-to-air combat are certainly not what most people that are good pilots would use. I don't claim to be an ace pilot in any way. So we're going to try to engage this MiG-31. Once again, it may be a suicide mission, and that's okay. We got a kill, so if we can take him down and go down with him, we'll get 2 kills in one flight. Sometimes when you're not a great ace pilot, that's what you do. But the rules are, it's not a true successful mission unless you land back at base. So that is how it works in something like DCS. You know, trading is not something you should be trying to do. So there you see our MiG, we got him locked up. And we're gonna wait till he gets in range. We've only got 2 missiles, so we really gotta make them count. Back at full burn right now. You'll see me right before I fire, I tilt my nose up. That is to loft the missile. A high fast missile has a better chance of hitting its target than a straight on shot, so give ourselves a little bit of an advantage with that. We're going to turn, keep him on the edge of our radar. That missile should be going hot momentarily here. Okay, so the missile has gone hot, so we could turn cold right now, but he hasn't fired on us yet. So we're waiting, keeping him on the edge of our radar. Check our fuel. Fuel looks good. He is now getting really close. He still hasn't fired on us, at least not that we know of. He's now under 12 nautical miles away. So we are going to turn and try to put our last missile on him. We are really going fast right now. This is going to be a really good missile. Okay, so he's fired. There goes our missile. It's within 10 miles. We're going to turn cold. Try to outrun his missile. Moving over Mach 1 still, even after that hard turn. Gonna get low. And there you go. We got a hit on him, and he is down. So that is a two kill flight. Got a F-16 and a MiG-31, both very capable aircraft. If you fly on this server, the hardest AI combatant that you will face is the JF-17. That SD-10 is a nasty missile, and the JF-17 is extremely difficult to kill on this server. But that's going to be it. We're going to RTB. It's a long flight back to base, so I'm going to skip past the long flight and just show the landing. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is 3 hardcore very immersive simulators on PC. I think it's the best 3 simulators in 3 different categories that you can currently play. There's more coming. There's some coming pretty soon that actually look really good, so hopefully those will be good, and I'll be looking at those once they've released. If you haven't given any of the games on this list a try and you're a PC player, don't let something like a $2,000 flight stick keep you from trying DCS. If you have an Xbox or PS controller, you can totally play DCS on a controller. I will put a link to Two Boss's channel in my description. He is the man. He has brought me so much joy being able to play DCS with his layouts and his guides showing how to hook up an Xbox controller to be able to play something like DCS. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm going to keep making more and more videos. Let me know in the comments if there's anything in particular you want me to show more of, or anything you want to see. I am predominantly a PC player at this time, but we can even touch on some other things if we decide to. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.